The Milky Way galaxy is full of mysteries. Planets that haven't been charted, relays that haven't been activated, and space that hasn't been explored. With billions of stars in the galaxy, less than 1% have actually been visited. There are undiscovered ruins, remnants of war, and phenomenons that can't be explained. Here are the unsolved mysteries of the Milky Way galaxy. First discovered by Shiolev Vasnovera during his pilgrimage, the Geth telescope was very confusing. First, the structure itself is made up of 3 primary mass relays converging into one, with strange, unknown technology. What it can do and how it exactly works remains a mystery. But the Geth were able to engineer a faster-than-light telescope. But where it was looking is the even bigger mystery. Shiolev says that the Geth were using the mass relay's faster-than-light corridors as a kind of faster-than-light telescope, searching for something beyond the Milky Way. The Geth on board weren't actually interested in the Andromeda galaxy, and it wasn't until Shiolev himself pointed it towards Andromeda that it became helpful in getting the initiative to the new galaxy. But it wasn't actually because of the Geth. Instead, they seem to be searching into dark space. But for what is a mystery? What were the Geth looking for in deep space, and why? Was the mysterious tech used to engineer the Kalos array Reaper tech? Or had they found something else? And if the data from the telescope could help get the initiative to Andromeda to an entire other galaxy, what else could the telescope see and do? During the events of the Reaper War, the Ralloi, a bird-like race, made contact with the Citadel after newly becoming a spacefaring race. They were brought into the galaxy with an official welcoming by the Council on the Citadel. And despite being affected by a bird flu and needing to wear suits to protect themselves, they had the potential to be another race to join Citadel space. But once they learned of the Reaper War, they retreated to their home planet, cut off all communications and travel, and destroyed any evidence of them being an advanced race as a way to hide from the Reapers. But did it work? Were the Ralloi ignored by the Reapers, who may have not seen them as ready for harvest? Or was their official introduction through the Citadel enough to give the Reapers evidence of how advanced the Ralloi had become? With their planet and race being cut off from everyone else, including Shepard, were they completely destroyed, unprepared for the war, becoming just another race wiped out and erased by the Reapers? Alongside the Ralloi, another race made contact with the Council during the height of the Reaper War, the virtual aliens. Not much is known about them, except that 8,000 years ago their homeworld star went supernova. So as a way to survive, they built a starship that was capable of holding their entire civilization. The ship, equipped with its own network of supercomputers, was able to allow the 1 billion virtual aliens to continue to survive in their new virtual world. In 2185, the ship realized that it was running out of power, and so they began searching for help. When the virtual aliens' ghost ship was first discovered in Citadel space, it caused a massive incident. Initially believed to be a threat or potentially the Geth, everyone became suspicious and weary of the ship. When the truth of the inhabitants was revealed, it caused a massive debate. Some argued that the virtual aliens should be left to their own fate, seeing it as a type of evolution of their own making. Some argued it was the duty of the Council to help, and some even tried to infiltrate the ship and join the virtual world. Unfortunately, when those few pirates interfaced with the virtual world, their minds simply wasn't capable of handling it. Not only were they unfamiliar with the world, but the passage of time turned their brains to mush. Time passes much quicker in the virtual world, and their experiences were never able to be explained because they were essentially brain dead afterwards. Eventually, the Council did agree to help the virtual aliens and their dying battery, but at a cost. Rumors speculated about what the Council received for their help. But it's rumored that the virtual aliens gave the council their highly advanced technology in exchange for some kind of power source. So what does the council know? And what alien technology do they have access to? But more importantly, what happened to the virtual aliens who joined our world? During the virtual aliens and council's negotiations, they swapped minds with one of the humans that was sent to delegate. Later, they'd go on to swap the minds with 400 more individuals from various races who volunteered to join the virtual world, and in place would let the virtual aliens join ours. Who they were and what happened to them is unknown. But even more mysterious is how they were able to swap minds with fully organic races. After this and receiving their battery, the virtual aliens are presumed to have just continued on their way, once again traveling through space in their virtual world. But what really happened to them and what they were capable of is unknown. Nor do we know anything about the virtual aliens who joined Citadel Space. Armeni is a planet thought to be too far from the sun to contain life. But when the planet was investigated, millions of elaborate crypts were discovered, just a few meters below the surface. These crypts were left by a long-extinct spacefaring race called the Zeoph. The planet has since been left alone after this discovery, as council laws dictate that grave sites are sacrosanct, and so no further investigations have been approved. But that hasn't stopped anyone from trying. Attempts to continue research have been held up in court for many years. What is on the planet and what these crypts are is still a mystery. The survey team that charted the hydrogen-helium gas planet Logan detected some very strange activity under its surface. Being a gas planet, the surface is covered by cloud top. But as the team approached to collect more data, large solid objects were discovered under the clouds. As the team got closer to the planet, the objects moved under the clouds even more and eventually disappeared. No other reporting of the planet has been done. So what is hiding under Logan's cloud top? We know very little about the Rachni, but have they actually been indoctrinated this whole time? The driving force behind the Rachni War remains mostly a mystery, even to the Rachni themselves. But it is implied that some outside force was using them to take over the galaxy. Was it the Leviathan? Was it the Reapers? Or was it something else? It isn't ever officially confirmed, but it's clear that the Rachni songs were being manipulated. The Queen says that a tone from space hushed one voice after another. It forced the singers to resonate with its own sour yellow note. Have they experienced this before? Is this what was behind the Rachni Wars and their aggression? Have they been being used and manipulated with their songs this entire time? The Rachni shepherd meets are different from the stories that we hear. They can even help build the Crucible, working alongside other races of the galaxy. The Rachni Queen begs for her children. The mother begs for mercy. Is this truly all that they know? We know that the Protheans used to breed them, specifically for weapons of war. Has that been the only thing that they have known their entire lives? Was it Sovereign also doing the exact same thing 2,000 years ago? Did he use the Rachni as a way to make the harvest easier? Why was the Queen that we meet in Mass Effect 3 not able to be indoctrinated? Were all queens incapable of being indoctrinated? Or did Sovereign give up on using the Rachni as a weapon? There are so many unanswered questions about the Rachni's history and the Rachni Wars, but one thing is for sure. Their story is a very bloody and very sad one. What really happened to Armistice Baines? Found frozen stiff on a derelict ship in the Sparta system, what he was doing and who killed him is still a mystery. We first hear of Baines in Mass Effect 1 when we meet Dr. Michelle, as a Krogan is trying to extort medical supplies out of her. At her last job, she had been stealing to give free supplies to other clinics, and now someone was blackmailing her because of it. And that someone was Armistice Baines. Baines had hired the Krogan even though Michelle and Baines had previously worked together. But last she had heard, he had been contracted by the Alliance to conduct research in the Attican Traverse. When we ask Anderson about Baines, he says the military has been keeping it a secret, but Baines had been dead for some time. He was doing some high-level jobs for the Alliance, and out of the blue he was found dead on a drifting scout ship. Foul play was suspected, but it was never officially investigated. Apparently, Kohaku's men were the ones that found his body, and they were also killed. But any trace of the people who found Baines is gone. In Mass Effect 3, Dr. Michelle speaks about Baines and how he turned out to be a Cerberus agent. So it's likely that Cerberus killed him. But why? What classified project was he working with for the Alliance? And what was he doing for Cerberus? And was he dead when Dr. Michelle was being blackmailed? Was someone using his name? Was it even actually his body? What really happened to Armiston Baines? Another gas planet that has unusual activity is Praying Mouth. Located in the Relic system, this planet is somewhat of a Bermuda Triangle. Ships enter the planet's orbit and never return. Why is unknown, but theories are that maybe the planet has its own black holes, and maybe magnetic mimes from a long-forgotten war. Or maybe there's undetectable space debris. Whatever it is, ships don't return from the Praying Mouth. After Kuman Shoal, a Volus billionaire, had a vision of a higher being, telling him to search on Clensory for the lost crypts of beings of light, for the entities that were created at the dawn of time, to protect organic life from synthetic machine devils, he has since been excavating on Clensory's toxic surface for 2 decades by the time of the Reaper invasion. But how did he see this vision? Did he find a Prothean beacon like Shepard did? His vision, of course, came to life, but what else did he find on Clensory? And why would the Reapers be called beings of light? Is that referring to the Reaper beam? Did he actually find anything? The Codex in Mass Effect 3 assumes that he most likely died, but did he? Is he still out there? And what did he think of the Reaper invasion? Could Kuman Shoal also be the benefactor? If he was seeing visions, what else could he have seen, and what else did he know? He spent 20 years on the planet, wasting his money, but could he have also funded the Andromeda Initiative? The Thorian, also known as Species 37, is a mysterious and unique creature, and everything about it remains a mystery. Shiala says it is at least 50,000 years old, having existed long before the Protheans. But how old is it truly? Where did it come from, and are there more? Are there more planets out there with their own Thorian, covered in its plant-like network and looking for more thralls, just like it did with the colonist of Zoo's Hope? The Exogeny Corporation specializes in planetary exploration and colonization, meaning they are often the first to discover what inhabits these undiscovered planets, which gives them access to whatever they find, whether it be alien technology, alien races, or things like the Thorian. When Exogeny purchased the rights to Pharos, they didn't initially know about the Thorian, and it wasn't until they realized the effect that it had on the people of Zoo's Hope that they saw an opportunity. They let the colonists be enthralled, and then studied the activity for their own purpose, and then they monetized it. Data samples were sent to Cerberus, which were then sent to Chaska. From here, Cerberus used dragon's teeth, the Reaper tech used to turn humans into husk, to change the colonist. Alongside this, the data from Pharos was also sent to Notacrux, and here the Exogeny doctors turned the Thorian creepers into docile servants. Their own teams were being killed for this research. An entire survey team on Trebin died or were either changed into husk after they discovered Reaper technology. Exogeny has no problem subjecting their employees to dangerous situations, nor do they have a problem with using innocent and unsuspecting people as their own lab rats. After the Thorian's subjugation of its thralls and plan to take over more, Shepard is the one to destroy it. But even in death, it isn't truly gone. Its victims were still affected by the spores and still experienced symptoms just like when they were under direct control. Exogeny took the remains of the Thorian after its supposed death, but for what? What did they do with the remains? And what did they truly take from it in the first place? Shiala says the people of Zoo's Hope verified that it was dead, and she says the same thing. But if they're still affected by the spores and are still feeling the symptoms, is there a possibility there is more to the Thorian story? And what else was Exogeny doing? They are still around by Mass Effect 3. So what did they do with all of that data that they collected? What did they do with the remains of the Thorian? And what else do they know? When the gas planet of Ploba was scaled by survey ships, it returned with data that pointed to there being massive solid structures deep within the atmosphere, too regular in pattern to be anything natural. Some believe the planet itself to be some kind of supercomputer, also known as a Jupiter brain. Attempts to get more data out of the planet have been unsuccessful, and any signals that have been beamed towards the sunken megastructures come up completely empty-handed. The last attempt to reach and salvage Ploba's deep anomalies went devastatingly wrong, and the crew ended up trapped and crushed in the low atmosphere of the gas planet, and all 12 surveyors died. What is actually under the cloud covering is a mystery. Some speculate that an ancient spacefaring race disposed of their weapons of war by dumping them on Ploba. But the truth of what those megastructures are remains elusive. Is it Reaper tech? Is the tech still active? Or is there something living on the planet Ploba? The Keepers are a complete mystery, and they like it that way. They disintegrate when being studied and remain as elusive as possible. But their origins are even more mysterious. Speculated to have originally either been created, conquered, or indoctrinated by the Reapers, no one knows where they came from. We only know that they work tirelessly to keep the Citadel in pristine shape, and that they were the ones to open the door for the Reapers. But aside from them being a little evil, there's a million questions about their existence. Where did they truly come from? Are they in fact some kind of synthetic? Are they sentient? Can they speak, feel, and make their own choices? Did it kill that Krogan in the Shadow Broker footage? What did they do with all those bodies that they were harvesting? And who makes their cute little vest? Can they become more? With the Reapers gone, can they finally evolve, become their own race? Or are they forever destined to keep the Citadel maintained and nothing more? In Mass Effect 3, we learn that the Solarians were capturing and experimenting on several Yogs, repeating their same mistakes of the past with the Krogan. The Solarians plan to secretly uplift the Yog with minimal risk. It's unknown how far the project went, but during a Cerberus assault on the STG base, one of the Yogs breaks free, kills several Cerberus soldiers, and escapes. Where it ended up is unknown. What happened to this Yog? And will the Yog ever join the rest of Council space? Their homeworld of Parnack has been declared off-limits after contact with the Yog resulted in them massacring the entire Council delegation. After this, the Council cut all contact, and aside from the Shadow Broker, this is all that we know about their activity. But if they have the capability to become the Shadow Broker and run this entire network completely unknown to the galaxy, what else are they capable of? What else could this single Yog that escaped do? Carcosa is a fascinating planet with a history that has been erased. Originally thought to be a naturally occurring hothouse planet, the truth was revealed by an Asari expedition. Their findings showed that Carcosa contained some kind of ancient city. The surface is covered in ruins that are more than 2.7 million years old. Only one chamber remains intact, a throne room overlooking a large depression believed to have once been an enormous lake. More findings point to the people of Carcosa polluting their own planet until it became completely unstable, triggering a greenhouse effect that made the planet's freshwater supply become spoiled and unusable. Unfortunately, when the Reapers attacked, the Asari researchers that were on Carcosa had to flee, but their drones remained behind to reveal what they had found to anyone who survived the Reaper attack. What else was discovered remains unknown, but this is one of the few planets that seems to have a history not destroyed by the Reapers. When the Solarians joined the Council alongside the Asari, they already had their own secret operation, specializing in espionage and assassination. Rumors about their potential activities had reached the Asari. So, in an attempt to dispel rumors and gain trust with their new Asari partners, the Solarian government unsealed the documents pertaining to the League of One's identities and operations. And in doing so, they made the League of One members a target. Fearing this exposure, all 12 of the League of One disappeared. And after their disappearance, the Solarian government's inner cabinet was murdered. There, of course, was no evidence of who killed the government officials, but everyone knew that it was the League of One going rogue. Fearing what the repercussions of these highly capable and skilled members going rogue could mean, the Solarian Special Task Group was formed to go after them. The first Special Task Group sent after the League didn't return, and all of its members vanished. So a second, more capable team was sent, and only 2 returned this time. But when they returned, they said there was no evidence of the League existing anymore. And after no more suspicious activity, the League was thought to have been wiped out. And that was the end of it. But what truly happened, and who the members were and what they did, remain a mystery. Nor were there ever any consequences for them killing the government officials who decided to reveal their identities. But later, new evidence was found in recently declassified documents that point to there being a 13th member that eluded the Solarian military, instead of there being just the 12 that were known. Some of their medals have been found around the galaxy, most likely indicating where they died, but not every member has been discovered, nor do we know anything about the super secret possible 13th member. Did this 13th member really exist? And what happened to the League of One after they vanished? The Inusanen are a mysterious race, and if these truly are them that we see on Ilos, then that only opens more questions. Originally, these were intended to be Protheans, as seen by this old concept art, and with the statue named Prothean in Donovan Hawk's vault. But with Javik and the Collectors, they were turned into something else. It hasn't been officially confirmed, but clues point to these being the Inusanen. According to Javik, the Protheans learned about Mass Effect technology from the ruins of the Inusanen. And from an interview back in 2013, we know that the writers made these once Prothean concepts into a previous cycle's civilization. So is this really them? Is this their civilization? Are these chairs part of their form? What really happened to them? And what were they doing on Eingana? Eingana is a planet that is covered in the debris of an ancient war. The surface is littered in ancient starships and evidence of a battle. Approximately 127,000 years ago, multiple battles were fought over Eingana between 2 organic species, the Thoihan and the Inusanen. There's no records of their war or what they were fighting over, but historians believe that both races may have wanted to colonize Eingana, and in their battle to do so, they destroyed the planet entirely. Hundreds of ships lay destroyed on the planet's surface, and also its moon, and eventually all these ships were pulled inward by the planet's gravity well. The Mass Effect core drives of the ship then broke apart and dumped large amounts of Element Zero all over the planet, which poisoned it. From the Element Zero flooding the planet, and from environment life on the planet beginning to die, a wave of extinctions occurred. Any animal species that were left began to develop some kind of biotic abilities from the Element Zero exposure. But the planet itself remains hot and deadly and polluted. But how much of their civilization was left on Ilos when the Protheans took over? How much of their civilization did the Protheans build upon? How did they also manage to stay hidden from the Reapers if they truly did? And are the adjutants Inusanan? Did Cerberus collect their genetic data and create these? And with Cerberus having genetic data of an ancient alien and their knowledge of the Lazarus Project, could they or would they try to bring them back? When we help Kasumi get Keiji's gray box, we find ourselves in Donovan Hawk's vault. Here he has priceless relics, from Turian statues to the Statue of Liberty. But some of these items are still a mystery. We have seen Turian architecture and the vault contains Turian sculptures, and we've seen just about every other council race's architecture. So this means that this one doesn't really fit any that we know. There's a few in here that don't fit any that we know. There's also no marker as to where it came from, and Kasumi doesn't offer any insight. So what are these sculptures? Where did they come from? And presumably what race did it belong to? Alongside these, we see the Darkspawn from Dragon Age. And of course, while it's a fun Easter egg, where and when did it come from? And how did Donovan Hawk get all of these things? How did he get an Inusanan statue from Ilos? How did he get stone tablets that have old Quarian script on them? And what races made these mysterious relics? There are a lot of mysteries in Mass Effect, and these aren't the larger mysteries like what happened to Shepard, what happened to the Geth, and all of those things that followed Mass Effect 3. These are more of the mysteries of the world, from the planets that remain untouched. And sometimes it's also okay for some of these mysteries to stay unsolved. I think that's part of the appeal. So while I don't necessarily need these to be solved in Mass Effect 5, I do hope Mass Effect 5 will add more. Going over these, I realized that for a sci-fi game with endless possibilities, aside from the major questions, Mass Effect doesn't really have that many unsolved mysteries, and majority of them are from the first game. I want more questions. I want to wonder about more planets with hidden secrets or want to piece together more unresolved mysteries. And I really hope that Mass Effect 5 will do that. Also, this is just my video on the Milky Way Galaxy's mysteries. I'm also working on one about the Andromeda Galaxy, so hopefully I'll be done with that this month as well. If you are interested in more Mass Effect lore videos or videos like this, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all of those fun things. Let me know what you think. What mysteries do you want to see resolved in Mass Effect 5? And which of these do you think is the most interesting? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my Patreon members, thank you to my channel supporters, thank you all so much for your support, and I'll see you guys next time.